Welcome back to my channel. Today we will learn about the issue that has left the entire community of Port Charles shaken to its core. The long-anticipated custody trial for Wiley and Amelia has finally arrived, and what began as a courtroom showdown has spiraled into an emotionally charged and heartbreaking battle. With Michael Corinthos returning to reclaim his role as father after months of recovery in Germany, and Willow supported by Drew, the stage was set for a dramatic confrontation that no one would walk away from unchanged. The courtroom was filled with tension from the very beginning. On one side sat Michael, determined, visibly scarred from the burns that nearly took his life, and fueled by the desire to restore what he believed had been unfairly taken from him. On the other sat Willow and Drew, presenting themselves as the stable and consistent caregivers in the children's lives. Representing Willow was the sharp and seasoned attorney Rick Lansing, whose strategy focused heavily on Michael's absence and what he portrayed as emotional volatility and unreliability. Rick didn't waste time. He immediately pointed out that Michael had not been present in Wiley or Amelia's lives for over 3 months. He may have survived his injuries, Rick said in his opening remarks, but what about the emotional damage of abandonment? What does it say about a parent who vanishes when his children need him most? Michael, trying to remain composed, countered by submitting extensive medical documentation and witness statements from his treatment team in Germany. He explained that he had no choice but to undergo months of intensive care following the explosion at Sonny's house. "I didn't leave my children," Michael said. "I fought every single day in that hospital so I could come back to them." The court wavered. It was clear that Michael had indeed suffered immensely. But something about him had changed since his return. His tone was sharper, his patience thinner. The burns might have healed on the outside, but emotionally, he was still wounded. The hearing became more heated as both sides called character witnesses. Carly testified in support of Michael, emphasizing his bond with Wiley and his deep love for Amelia. Nina, awkwardly caught between her fractured relationship with Willow and her shared history with Michael, declined to testify. Jocelyn gave an emotional account of Michael's pain and resilience but also noted that his temper had been unpredictable since his return. Then came the most controversial decision of the trial. The judge, after a private discussion with both legal teams, allowed Wiley to express his wishes. At 7 years old, Wiley was young, but articulate. The judge asked only one question: "Wiley, who do you feel most comfortable living with right now?" Wiley looked around the courtroom, his mother, his father, Drew. Then, softly but clearly, he said, "I want to stay with Mommy and Drew. They always make me feel safe." The words hit Michael like a truck. His face contorted. Shock, pain, and rage all flashing in an instant. The room fell silent. Then, without warning, Michael stood up, stepped toward Wiley, and before anyone could react, slapped him across the face. Gasps erupted. Willow screamed. Rick shouted for the judge. Bailiffs rushed forward. Carly jumped from her seat. And Wiley burst into tears, clutching Willow as she ran to comfort him. Michael froze. He realized what he had just done. In one split-second loss of control, he had confirmed every fear, every accusation, every concern voiced by Willow and Rick. His face went pale. His hands trembled. He tried to speak, tried to say it was a mistake, that he didn't mean it, but no words came out. The judge immediately called for a recess and cleared the courtroom. Outside in the hallway, emotions boiled. Drew tried to comfort Willow, who was sobbing as she held Wiley close. Carly confronted Michael, furious and heartbroken. "What were you thinking?" she asked him, barely holding herself together. Michael couldn't answer. He slumped into a bench, his face buried in his hands. When court reconvened an hour later, the mood had shifted entirely. The judge, visibly disturbed, addressed the courtroom with gravity. "I have reviewed the facts, testimony, and circumstances of this case," the judge said. "And what I witnessed today will not be ignored. Mr. Corinthos, it is clear that you are struggling. Emotionally, psychologically. That doesn't make you a bad father. But it does make you unfit to assume sole custody at this time." The verdict was final. Willow would receive full custody of Wiley and Amelia. Michael would be granted supervised visitation, pending psychological evaluation and anger management. The courtroom erupted again, but this time, in silence. Michael didn't protest. He didn't shout. He nodded slowly, pain visibly consuming him. For the first time in the entire trial, he accepted defeat. After the ruling, Willow met Michael privately in the empty courtroom. She looked at him, her eyes filled with a mix of sorrow and sympathy. "I know you love them," she said. "But right now, they need stability. And you need to heal." Michael nodded again. I wanted to be the dad I promised I'd be." Willow reached out, placing her hand gently on his. "Maybe one day. But not like this." Back at Carly's house, Wiley was still shaken. Jocelyn sat beside him, reading a book as Carly brought hot cocoa. Amelia napped upstairs. For now, things were calm, but the emotional impact of that courtroom moment would linger. Michael returned home alone. His thoughts raced. He stared at a photo of him and Wiley from years earlier, laughing in the park, sun shining. That version of him seemed so far away now. In the days that followed, Michael began counseling. Not because it was court-ordered, though that helped, but because deep down, he knew he needed to change. Not just for the court, but for his children. Meanwhile, Willow focused on helping Wiley recover emotionally. She sought out a child therapist, and together with Drew, began re-establishing a peaceful home. But even Willow couldn't erase what had happened. Every time Wiley flinched at a raised voice or avoided the subject of his father, she knew the scar would take time to heal. Drew tried to offer support but was cautious. He knew Willow still had unresolved feelings for Michael, especially after their past and the night they'd briefly reconnected. But now, after everything, those feelings seemed buried beneath pain and mistrust. Carly visited Michael often, never giving up on her son. She reminded him that rebuilding would take time. That love could still find its way back. That one day, Wiley might forgive him. But for now, Michael had to face the reality he had created. And so Port Charles moves forward. The court ruling has changed everything. Relationships have fractured. Trust has been tested. But in the quiet aftermath, there is still a glimmer of hope. Hope that healing is possible. Hope that love, even broken, can be rebuilt. Next, we will dive deep into the latest drama swirling around Port Charles as emotions run high, secrets unravel, and relationships are tested like never before. From Nina Reeves' desperate pleas to Sonny Corinthos regarding Michael Corinthos' bold moves, to the heartbreaking fallout of Giovani Gio Palmieri's life-altering revelations, and the simmering tension between family members, there's no shortage of excitement. Let's unpack the intricate web of events that promise to keep us on the edge of our seats in this Wednesday, May 28th update. First, let's turn our attention to the escalating conflict surrounding Nina Reeves and her fervent attempts to influence Sonny Corinthos. Nina, known for her fierce determination when it comes to family matters, finds herself in a precarious position as she implores Sonny to intervene with Michael Corinthos. Her concern stems from Michael's recent decisions about the children, particularly after he whisks young Wiley Corinthos away for a sleepover at Grandma Carly Spencer's house without so much as a backward glance. Nina, with her voice trembling with a mix of fear and frustration, argues that a middle ground must be found to preserve family harmony. However, Sonny, ever the pragmatic patriarch, might counter with the perspective that Michael, now back in town with a renewed sense of purpose, is more than capable of steering his own ship. This clash of opinions between Nina and Sonny adds another layer of tension to an already volatile situation, leaving us to wonder if Nina's emotional appeals will sway Sonny's stoic stance or if Michael will continue on his independent path. Meanwhile, the drama doesn't stop at the Corinthos household. At the doorstep of Carly's home, a surprising standoff unfolds as Jason Morgan positions himself as a barrier when Drew Kane and Willow Corinthos attempt to follow Michael and Wiley. Jason, with his characteristic steely resolve, seems determined to protect Michael's decision, perhaps seeing it as a necessary step for the young man to assert his autonomy. This unexpected interference by Jason introduces a new dynamic. Will Drew and Willow back down, or will they challenge Jason's authority in a bid to reach Michael? The air crackles with unspoken rivalries and past grievances as these key players navigate their complex relationships, each move calculated yet charged with raw emotion. Elsewhere in Port Charles, Sasha Gilmore Corbin finds herself grappling with a whirlwind of nerves amid the intensifying custody feud. Her anxiety is compounded by a deeply guarded secret. She's carrying Michael's child, a revelation that could upend the already fragile balance of loyalties in this saga. As she paces the familiar halls of her home, her mind races with scenarios of how this news might alter her future and her place within the Corinthos family. Yet, a flicker of relief comes when she learns of Michael's return and his readiness to take the reins. This development offers Sasha a glimmer of hope, a chance to lean on Michael's strength as they face the challenges ahead together. But with such a monumental secret weighing on her, one can't help but ponder how long she can keep it hidden before it bursts into the open, potentially igniting a firestorm of reactions. Shifting focus to the Quartermaine mansion, the atmosphere is thick with betrayal and heartbreak following the explosive truth about Giovani Gio Palmieri. The young man, still reeling from overhearing a life-shattering conversation at the nurses' ball, made a dramatic statement on stage that left everyone stunned. The aftermath sees Gio wrestling with his identity and his place in the family, culminating in his decision to pack his bags and leave the sprawling estate. His confrontation with Emma Scorpio Drake is laden with emotion. While Gio warns her not to stop him, Emma's response is not one of obstruction but of solidarity. She insists on accompanying him, believing that no one should face such turmoil alone. Her loyalty to Gio shines through, a beacon of support amidst his storm, but will it be enough to anchor him when the pain of betrayal cuts so deep? Adding to the Quartermaine chaos, Tracy Quartermaine steps into the fray with a mix of concern and authority. Having caught wind of the latest developments, Tracy is resolute in her mission to keep Gio within the family fold. She pleads with her grandson, her voice a blend of sternness and sorrow, urging him not to take another step away from the home that has always been his sanctuary. Her arguments are rooted in a deep-seated fear of losing another piece of her family to the rifts that seem to perpetually plague the Quartermaines. Yet, Joe's fury and sense of betrayal burn bright, and it remains uncertain whether Tracy's impassioned words can mend the wounds or if they will fall on deaf ears as Gio seeks solace elsewhere. In a parallel storyline, Brooke Lynn Quartermaine faces her own emotional reckoning as she confronts her mother, Lois Cerullo, over a deception that has shattered trust. Lois, caught off guard, struggles to justify her actions after it comes to light that she concealed the truth about Gio being Brooke Lynn's child for years. The confrontation unfolds with raw intensity, as Brooke Lynn, tears streaming down her face, expresses the depth of her hurt and the impossibility of forgiveness at this juncture. Lois' betrayal cuts to the core, severing the bond they once shared, and Brooke Lynn's decision to distance herself from her mother speaks volumes about the pain of hidden truths. This poignant mother-daughter clash leaves lingering questions about whether time or apologies can ever heal such a profound rift. The emotional turmoil extends to Dante Falconeri, who is coming to terms with the staggering revelation that Gio is the son he never knew he had. As he processes this bombshell, Dante is a portrait of inner conflict, grappling with feelings of regret, longing, and the weight of missed opportunities. His journey of understanding his connection to Gio is only beginning, and each step forward is fraught with the challenge of navigating uncharted paternal waters. How Dante will bridge the gap with Gio, and whether they can forge a meaningful relationship amidst the chaos, remains a storyline to watch with bated breath. Lastly, let's not overlook the tender and passionate subplot involving Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson. In a quiet, intimate moment away from the storms of family drama, Kai gently questions Trina's certainty as they stand on the precipice of deepening their bond. Their romance, blossoming amidst the chaos of Port Charles, reaches a new level of closeness, igniting sparks of passion that promise to light up their path. Though the future may hold unforeseen obstacles, for now, Kai and Trina revel in the euphoria of their connection, their shared glances and soft touches painting a picture of young love at its most vibrant. Fans can anticipate that their journey will be one of both sweetness and struggle as external pressures inevitably test their newfound intimacy. Next, we will delve into the emotional storm that is swept through Port Charles following a shocking revelation at the nurses' ball, forever altering the life of Giovani Gio Palmieri. What was meant to be an evening of celebration turned into a night of heartbreak as Gio discovered he is the adopted son of Brooklyn Quartermain and Dante Falconeri, a secret born from a teenage romance and hidden for years. With feelings of betrayal, misunderstandings, and a longing to escape, Joe's world is unraveling, and his decision to flee with a loyal friend adds even more tension to an already fraught situation. Join us as we explore the depths of this drama, adding vivid details and fresh elements to bring the complexities of Joe's journey to life. Let's begin with the cataclysmic moment that turned Joe's reality upside down during the glitz and glamour of the nurses' ball at the Metro Court Hotel. Amidst the sparkling chandeliers and swirling dance floor, a devastating truth came crashing down. Gio learned he is the biological child of Brooklyn Quartermain and Dante Falconeri, conceived during a fleeting teenage romance at summer camp and given up for adoption without Dante's knowledge. The revelation, uncovered through Lulu Spencer's relentless digging, struck Gio like a thunderbolt as he stood in the grand ballroom, the laughter and music fading into a hollow echo. Devastated by Lois Cerullo's years of silence and mistakenly believing both Brooklyn and Dante willingly turned their backs on him, Gio feels as though his very identity, tied so deeply to his late adoptive mother who raised him with boundless love, is being stripped away. The pain is compounded by a recent clash with Dante, who scolded Gio for failing to prevent Rocco Falconeri from drinking at a chaotic college party, a reprimand that now feels like rejection. Heartbroken and disillusioned, Joe's impulse is to escape the suffocating weight of Port Charles, his mind racing with the need to distance himself from a family he believes never wanted him. The depth of Joe's misunderstanding adds a tragic layer to his turmoil, as he grapples with emotions in the quiet solitude of his room at the Quartermain mansion. He wrongly assumes that Brooklyn and Dante colluded in discarding him, unaware that Dante was never informed of his existence and that Brooklyn, a frightened teenager at the time, made the agonizing decision to give him up in hopes of securing him a brighter future. The memory of his adoptive mother, who passed away in a tragic car accident when he was just a child, looms large in his heart. Her gentle lullabies and warm hugs are treasures he fears this new family might overwrite with their own narrative. Each scolding word from Dante over Rocco's misadventure echoes in Joe's mind as proof that he doesn't belong in Port Chuck, fueling his resolve to pack a weathered duffel bag with essentials and slip away under the cover of night. As he zips up his jacket, staring at a faded photo of his adoptive mom tucked into his wallet, the question lingers. Will his anger and grief blind him to the potential love and explanations waiting just behind him, or will running be the only way he can find peace? In a twist of loyalty and rebellion, Joe's escape plan gains a companion when Emma Scorpio Drake stumbles upon him sneaking out through the back gate of the Quartermain estate. Emma, a steadfast friend who has shared countless late-night talks with Gio about their shared struggles, refuses to let him face this journey alone. Her own life in Port Charles has been a pressure cooker, caught between the high expectations of her parents, Robin Scorpio Drake and Patrick Drake, and a burning desire for retribution against Jocelyn Joss Jacks over a bitter high school feud involving a sabotaged science project. Seeing Joe's packed bag and haunted expression, Emma insists on joining him, her voice firm with determination as they stand under the dim glow of a street lamp. She envisions their impromptu road trip as a chance to break free from the constraints of their small-town expectations, dreaming of open highways and the taste of independence. However, her rash decision to tag along, without so much as a map or ample cash, could spell disaster for their naive getaway. Will Emma's unwavering support bolster Joe's resolve to leave, or will her presence, with her own unresolved baggage, make them a more conspicuous target for those bound to pursue them? As Gio and Emma plot their escape, the likelihood of their flight triggering a town-wide response looms large over Port Charles. The moment Brooklyn discovers Joe's empty room, with a hastily scrawled note left on his desk expressing his need for space, her heart will shatter with desperation to reach her newfound son before it's too late. She might turn to her husband, Harrison Chase, leveraging his position as a detective to track down the duo before they get too far, their search beginning with frantic calls to local bus stations and gas stops. Meanwhile, Dante, burdened by guilt over his harsh words about Rocco's incident, could seek out Sonny Corinthos for assistance, the two men combing the streets in Sonny's sleek black SUV, their conversation heavy with Dante's regret as they hunt for clues. Adding to the urgency, Emma's grandmother, Police Commissioner Anna Devane, would undoubtedly mobilize her resources the second she learns of her granddaughter's disappearance, her stern orders echoing through the precinct to set up checkpoints at the county line.